Taiwan conducts a civil defense drill just days before China enforces a no-fly zone near this island. Doubling down. French President Emmanuel Macron stands by his controversial comments on Taiwan. Japan sounds warning sirens as North Korea fires yet another ballistic missile. And why these ancient trees in Taiwan's north may be getting a lot more visitors. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. China has issued a warning banning vessels from entering the waters near the north of Taiwan this Sunday. It has also implemented a no-fly zone in the area. It comes as Taiwan is conducting its first civil defense drill of the year in the central city of Taichung. Jaime Ocon reports.
Taiwan is rehearsing its wartime preparations. For the next 6 weeks, the annual civil defense drills will help cities and counties across Taiwan assess how to respond to emergencies. They begin in the central city of Taichung.
今年的民安演习有一个特别不一样的地方是，我们把战争当作演习的项目。
This year's drills come at a time of heightened cross-strait tensions. On Monday, China wrapped up 3 days of military exercises around Taiwan. Those were in response to a meeting between Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen and U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in California. China views Taiwan as part of its territory, to be taken by force if necessary, and it gets angry over any perceived recognition of Taiwanese sovereignty. Now Beijing has declared a no-fly zone just 85 nautical miles away from northern Taiwan starting on Sunday. Beijing says it will conduct unspecified aerospace activities in the area. The no-fly zone was originally supposed to last 3 days, but Taiwan says its transport ministry protested the move and managed to change the duration to just 27 minutes. The no-fly zone falling soon after large-scale military drills is seen as a calculated move by Beijing.
我认为说，就是让台湾可以知道，可以怎么样在面对两岸事情上面，很多时候可以用智取，不一定要用这个硬道理去跟对方去argue。我觉得在这里面是可以看得到的。
Even if it's just half an hour, the no-fly zone will affect 33 flights on one of the world's busiest aviation corridors. And on Thursday, China announced a ban on ships entering the area of the no-fly zone for 6 hours. In Taiwan's largest international airport, some travelers feel uneasy about China's actions.
Actually, right now, it's all about the war between China and Taiwan. Actually, we're kind of nervous, but at the same time, a little just so-so. Maybe because we believe that Taiwan can fight back, or like something like China can have sympathy to us because we have a big population here in Taiwan.
The recent drills and upcoming no-fly zone are more examples of Chinese military intimidation towards Taipei. But Taiwan is far from defenseless. The civil defense exercises are just one way the nation is preparing for whatever lies ahead. Andy Xue and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
Germany's foreign minister arrived in China on Thursday for a 3-day state visit, but Annalena Baerbock's trip has been overshadowed by a bombshell interview with Emmanuel Macron. Now, the French president has clarified his position on Taiwan, but he has stood by his call for Europe to become less dependent on the US. Dash Butler reports.
French President Emmanuel Macron steps ashore in Amsterdam alongside the Dutch Prime Minister. It's plain sailing in the Netherlands, but Macron has been making waves. The French president has just come back from Beijing, and in a controversial interview with a French daily, he suggested Europe should stop following the United States' lead when it comes to China and Taiwan. After discussing the risk of China attacking Taiwan, Macron said the trap for Europe would be that it's caught in a disruption of the world and crises which would not be ours. Days later, in the Netherlands, he was asked to clarify those words.
La France est pour le statu quo à Taïwan. La France soutient la politique d'une seule Chine et la recherche d'un règlement pacifique de la situation. C'est d'ailleurs la position des Européens.
But he also restated his call for the European Union to become less tied to US policy.
Mais c'est justement là que j'insiste sur l'importance de l'autonomie stratégique. Être allié ne signifie pas être vassal. C'est pas parce qu'on est allié, qu'on fait des choses ensemble, qu'on décide de faire, qu'on n'a plus le droit de penser tout seul.
The White House has smoothed over any talk of a rift.
I mean, there's a lot of terrific bilateral cooperation just alone between the United States and France. We're focused on that.
But for the EU, the fallout rolls on. Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock is travelling to Beijing for a 3-day visit, where she intends to echo the US call for stability around Taiwan.
The language she will use will be much more assertive, and also she will definitely point towards the contentious issues, such as, firstly and most importantly, Taiwan.
The German diplomat is one of a flood of foreign leaders visiting a post-COVID China, arriving as the Chinese military finishes war games near Taiwan. Like the US, Baerbock says she'll present a united European front against the exercises. While back home, Macron calls for autonomy from DC. Chen and Stash Butler for TaiwanPlus.
President Tsai Ing-wen has met a delegation from the Marshall Islands, one of Taiwan's diplomatic allies, led by the country's Foreign Minister Kitlan Kabua.
我也要借这个机会特别感谢科布亚部长跟马绍尔群岛政府持续的支持台湾的国际参与，包括在联合国大会、世界卫生大会等国际场域为台湾发声，也成功的唤起国际社会的关注。
During the group's visit, Kabua will meet Taiwan's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu. She will also visit Taiwan's Council of Indigenous Peoples and the Foundation for Women's Rights Promotion and Development. Taiwan and the Marshall Islands are expected to sign 2 agreements on diplomatic exchanges and climate change. The Marshall Islands is one of 13 countries that has official ties with Taiwan going back to 1998. Japan's government issued and then withdrew an evacuation order on Thursday morning after North Korea launched a missile into the East Sea. Despite anger and confusion from residents, Japan has stood by its emergency response. Joyce Tseng reports.
Sirens blare in northern Japanese island of Hokkaido. Early on Thursday morning, a North Korean missile set off Japan's national emergency system. It warned residents to evacuate immediately. 20 minutes later, the Japanese government called it off, sparking fear and anger among Hokkaido's millions of residents. Some reports said that the so-called J alert, which is only used for earthquakes and terrorist attacks, was an error. Japan's cabinet has stood by their response.
ミサイルの落下物層の危険性を速やかに国民に知らせるという J アラートの役割に鑑み、国民の皆様の安全を最優先する観点から J アラートを発出したものであります。
South Korea's military says this latest weapons test from the north is part of Pyongyang's goal to bolster its defensive capabilities. North Korea has launched more than 20 missiles this year alone.
북한의 탄도미사일은 고각으로 발사되어 약 1000km 비행 후에 동해상에 탄착하였으며
Japan said the missile disappeared from its radar immediately after detection. It withdrew its J alert after confirming there was no possibility the missile landed near Japan. But the country's prime minister, Fumio Kishida, has said he intends to look further into the matter.
この後詳しい報告を受けた上で NSC4 大臣会合を開催したいと思っています。
Tensions over North Korea's weapons tests surged last year as it launched over 70 missiles. Just this week, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un called for, quote, more practical and offensive defense capabilities. Japan, South Korea, and the U.S. have condemned the latest launch.
領域内へは落下していないことを確認しました。これ以上の詳細は現在分析中であります。
Thursday's launch marked the 12th day this year that North Korea has fired at least one missile. It also comes 2 days before the birthday of North Korea's founding leader, Kim Il-sung, which is the country's biggest national holiday. Given Pyongyang's track record for marking anniversaries with displays of military prowess, other nations in the region and beyond are likely to remain on high alert. Isen Pan and Joyce Tsen for TaiwanPlus.
Brazilian President Lula da Silva, popularly known as Lula, has arrived in Shanghai. It's his first stop on a 6-day state visit to China. This is Lula's first visit to China since he was elected again last year. He will meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang. Lula's delegation reportedly includes over 200 business leaders. The highly publicized trip is a sharp break from the China skeptic policies of his predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro. It's the latest sign of Beijing's renewed focus on foreign affairs. Earlier this year, China helped broker a landmark agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And last week, it hosted French President Emmanuel Macron and EU Commission head Ursula von der Leyen. Lula visited China twice during his first term as president from 2003 to 2011. A study by a US think tank has found that an overwhelming majority of Americans have a negative view of China. According to the report by the Pew Research Center, 83% of respondents view China unfavorably. That's the highest percentage Pew has recorded on this issue and close to double the 47% figure from 2017. Only 14% have favorable opinions on China. The research also found that 84% of Americans see tensions between Taiwan and China as a serious problem. 47% said the situation is serious. An airstrike by Myanmar's military on a village in the north of the country has drawn strong condemnation around the region, including from the head of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It's feared as many as 100 people were killed in Tuesday's attack, with shocking images emerging online showing the aftermath. Rick Lowett spoke to Ang Jor-mo, an advisor to Myanmar's National Unity Government, a shadow administration formed after the 2021 military coup.
Can you tell us about the situation in Sagaing, northwestern Myanmar?
So the situation in Sagaing has been quite horrific. The junta has been increasingly using air forces to target the civilian and carry out indiscriminate attack toward the civilian and other forces who are fighting for democracy and human rights. And the one recently in Sagaing was the most horrific and deadliest one. That impacted the life of 50 plus people, and many more got injured. And this is just happened before the Myanmar New Year, which is absolutely horrific. And while there was an administrative office ceremony being held, and where some civilian were gathering, and junta got somehow the news and carried out this attack brutally.
And how common are attacks like this, and why is the Myanmar military using airstrikes against its own people?
The junta is weak, and they would do anything to show their capability to the people of Myanmar to maintain the status quo of the attempt coup. And that's what they're trying to do, and they don't care whether civilians are being killed or civilians are being spared. And this is a clear violation of the international humanitarian law. And many kids, women has been killed as a result of this, not only from this incident.
And could you describe the situation in Myanmar at the moment? Is the country in a state of civil war?
Definitely the country is falling apart. It has been more than 2 years. The people in Myanmar did not give up on their determinations to fight until the end, to bring this country back to the path of democracy, where all the ethnics has equal rights and where democracy is flourished. And as a result, the people don't want to be governed by the handful number of military who has been destroying the country, sucking the blood of the country for their own benefits and their family members.
That was Rick Lowett speaking to Myanmar National Unity Government advisor Ang Jor-mo. A nature reserve in northern Taiwan, famed for its giant trees and misty mountains, is set to begin charging entry fees. The move has some locals hopeful it will bring in more investment, but others are worried this won't be enough to keep visitor numbers manageable. John Van Trieste has the story.
This towering cluster of trees has been on this mountainside for over a millennium. It would take several adults to surround the thickest of their trunks. This is Lalashan, a rugged nature reserve in Taiwan's north. Since it opened to the public in 1986, it's been a hit, bringing in up to 170,000 visitors a year. Given Taiwan's history of logging, such a tight cluster of ancient trees in such an accessible place is rare.
我们接近这个树木的距离啊，很近，而且体力不用很大的要求。
胸径超过1公尺以上的巨木，至少就有超过100棵，走在里面就其实在被巨木所包围。
And now it's set for an upgrade from nature reserve to National Forest Recreation Area, making it the 19th of its kind in Taiwan. The new designation will mean admission fees for visitors. Locals hope that the proceeds, and more government investment, will be used to fix up the park's aging facilities and build a tourism center. But others are more concerned with another problem: overcrowding.
倍增的话，它的交通反而会打结，对，因为我们里面就是主要是停车位有限，希望有客人，但是太多的话，反而那个质反而会比较差一点。
The change in status takes effect on April 18th. In the meantime, people who live around Lalashan are waiting to see what the upgrade will mean for them and their home. Leon Lien and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, a peek into an acclaimed dance production being revived for the Taiwan Week Arts Festival. Stay tuned to find out more. Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan's economy minister has pushed back on reports that tech giant TSMC is slowing down its domestic production. Minister Wang Meihua on Wednesday said that TSMC's plans to open a new chip factory in Kaohsiung remain unchanged. Her comments come after a recent report by Taiwanese media outlet DigiTimes. The article said that TSMC is slowing down its investment plans in the southern port city. TSMC earlier announced a delay in the opening of the Kaohsiung factory. This is the second time the chipmaker has postponed its investment in Kaohsiung. Liu Peiten, a researcher at a local think tank, says a recession in the global chip market is to blame for TSMC's deferral.
全球半导体的一个景气，那么整体在这个库存的一个去化，那么以及在终端需求的一个上升的状况是比较不如预期的。那所以在这个情况之下，也会比较导致在未来的一个订单能见度相对是比较有限的。
It's Taiwan Week, an annual arts festival that brings productions focused on Taiwan to the stage. One dance troupe is preparing to revive one of its most popular pieces for the occasion. John Van Trieste reports.
Slowly and methodically, a dancer puts on an elaborate headdress. There are over 200 pleats in this single costume piece, and it has to be placed just so. It's one of many small details in Song of Pensive Beholding. This modern dance epic is returning to the stage at this year's Taiwan Week Arts Festival. It's an acclaimed piece that's toured the world under the direction of its creator, Taiwanese choreographer Lin Li-zhen. It's inspired by eagles that Lin saw soaring near her hometown and is imbued with elements of Taiwan's nature. But while there are characters and scenes in this piece, don't look for a story or plot. Instead, Lin says viewers should enjoy it for its aesthetic quality.
我感觉剧场它有一个抽象的空间，它有很多的想象力、跟情感还有美感在那个空间里面发生。那有时候这种发生不是用故事，故事会把很多事，就是整个空间变实了。它应该是一个像河流一样。
Song of Pensive Beholding is part 3 of a trilogy. It premiered in 2009 and has been performed on and off since then. The piece borrows props and designs from several Asian cultures. It combines these with examples of the bounty of Taiwan's land, like the seeds of plants and the stalks of rice that are used as props. But the choreographer believes art has no nationality. She is even hesitant to describe the work as a creation.
这是一个生命的延续，可是它有风景，它随着风景一直在转变，一直在转变。你看着那个风景在转变，就跟着我们人，跟着大自然，跟着宇宙，所以我们分不开。
This isn't a piece that can be nailed down or classified. The choreographer says it's up to audiences to decide what it means to them.
我感觉那个安静，跟空无一物。就是整个舞台都没有东西，就像宇宙一样，好像都没有东西。可是当那个光下去的时候，你看见了那种喜悦。
But with final rehearsals done and Taiwan Week well underway, the cast says it's ready to give this revival performance its all. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
New York City has a new ratzar. City officials say the COVID-19 pandemic has led to a rise in the number of rats. It's ratzar's task to reduce the rodent population. Bing Wang has more.
Public enemy number one. City officials in New York have just declared war on rats. There's been a boom in their numbers since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, prompting Mayor Eric Adams to announce a new rat czar, Kathleen Corradi. She will be tasked with combating a growing rodent population in the U.S.'s most populous city.
We are just really happy today to say that we have found our rat czar, and she is focused on improving the quality of life of New Yorkers.
The TV channel Animal Planet named New York City the worst rat city in the world. According to official data, rat sightings have jumped in recent years.
Rat mitigation is more than a quality of life issue. Rats are the symptom of systemic issues, including sanitation, health, housing, and economic justice.
The most recent study done in 2014 found that there were 2 million rats in New York City, 1 for every 4 residents. City officials believe that number has risen, so the rat czar has her work cut out for her. She's laid out her battle plan.
Fighting rats starts with fighting litter, garbage, and food waste. And as anyone who's seen the movie Ratatouille knows, rats love the same foods humans do. That's why every anti-rat initiative starts with making sure food-related waste gets into bins that rats can't. You'll be seeing a lot of me, and a lot less rats.
This is the latest attempt to curb the rat problem in New York City. Corradi previously oversaw rat mitigation efforts in the city's public schools. Given Corradi's experience, the city hopes to see a decline in its most unpopular rodent neighbors. Howard Zhang and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Climate change is harming animals around the world, destroying their habitats and food sources. But there's one species that may be benefiting from the warmer temperatures: loggerhead turtles. Eric Gao shells out the facts.
A prenatal checkup for a loggerhead turtle. Conservationists in Spain's Canary Islands are making sure this pregnant turtle is healthy before attaching a tracker and releasing it back into the water. These conservationists are based off northern Africa, but they've been tracking developments in the northern Mediterranean Sea, where they found more and more turtles nesting. It used to be quite rare for loggerheads to nest there, but that number has grown a lot, and they have a theory why.
Una de las principales causas que se están pudiendo dar para explicar este fenómeno
puede ser el calentamiento global, el cambio climático, es decir, se están creando condiciones más cálidas en zonas a las que antes no llegaban las tortugas porque no eran adecuadas para la incubación de los huevos y quizás ahora, al calentarse estas zonas, al subir un poco la temperatura, sí sean adecuadas.
Thanks to the increased range, researchers found 84 nests in the area in 2020. That's up from an average of fewer than 3 a year about a decade ago.
Creemos que este evento que se está viendo en las costas mediterráneas españolas y francesas y italianas pueda ser un nuevo proceso de colonización.
Climate change may not be the only reason the loggerheads are now more common. They've been the target of conservation efforts for decades, and those programs may finally be paying off.
Esto que está haciendo, estamos viendo que muchas de estas poblaciones están empezando a mejorar. Eso también hace que las poblaciones estén mejor. Si una población está mejor, empieza a expandir sus áreas.
But increasing turtle numbers also means more exposure to humans. The Canary Islands team takes care of turtles too injured to return to the wild. Despite the increased nesting range, the world's loggerhead turtles are still threatened and still need protection. Leon Lien and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we'll leave you with images of flowers in full bloom at this year's Tulip Festival in the US state of New Jersey, known as the Garden State. I'm Yin Khvat. Take care. See you next time.